right now.
I think people are sick of it.
He says there's no time for party politics in light of a disaster. Tonight, the state's top legal officer is lending his voice to the growing concerns about the historic second opening of the Bonnie Carey Spillway. Jim Hood was on the coast talking about the impact of the opening. Doug Walker is live from the beach in Ocean Springs with the latest.
Well, Hugh, today marks 77 days that the spillway has been open. That's the most in 1 year in the history, the 88-year history of the spillway. And the environmental damage is real. Literally, hundreds of trillions of gallons of fresh water have gone into the Mississippi Sound. And because of that damage, someone needs to pay, according to Hood. Jim Hood outlined his concerns while speaking to the Biloxi Businessmen's Club. He's going to seek money from the federal government for the damage done so far.
But we want to make them be prepared to pay reparations for the damages that this fresh water is causing in our Mississippi Sound for the dolphin deaths, the impacts on tourism and our seafood industry.
When it comes to seafood, the shrimp season still hasn't opened yet because of freshwater intrusion.
It is bad for Mississippi. I mean, especially people that's got to make their living here, you can't do it. I mean, with the oysters, the crabs, everything, you know, it's bad.
Fishing is bad too. That's the word from Mark Smith, getting ready to cast a line.
There is dead fish floating in the water, and like I say, the fish are not good. I'm worried about the local people that continue to use their boats into the water and fish, because they're also telling me that the fishing has dropped drastically.
The Attorney General questions why the other Mississippi River spillway in Louisiana, the Morganza, hasn't been opened yet by the Army Corps of Engineers.
I think they just made a decision they're going to dump it on the Mississippi side first. They have regulations that say certain levels where they open it, but we want to make them go back and relook at those.
But he's also pleased that elected officials are now speaking with one voice, trying to mitigate the damage from the spillway opening.
We was going to set partisanship aside, thank goodness. We get a lot more done when we don't worry about that and we work together. And I'm confident that we'll be able to do that going forward in on this event.
Now, Attorney General Hood stresses he does not want to take legal action against the Army Corps of Engineers, though he does not rule that out. He'd much rather have a dialogue and reach an agreement that all sides can live with. Now, as far as the environmental damage so far, here's even more proof for you. As we speak, right now, 129 dolphins have washed up dead on the beaches of South Mississippi, as well as 154 sea turtles. That's the largest number in years. Reporting live on the beach in Ocean Springs, Doug Walker, WLOX News Now.
And while those concerns continue, we are now starting to get reports of improving water conditions. Louis Scrametta, who operates Ship Island Excursions, tells us the water around Ship Island is more clear now than it's been over the last few weeks. And Scrametta says he's seen more active marine life in the Mississippi Sound. Also, a group of students with the Dolphin Island Sea Lab who visited Ship Island today to do research say the water was in better shape than they expected.
Coming from, as I said, Dolphin Island, it's clearer than it is down there, so that was kind of shocking to me. I didn't know it'd be that rapid of a change.
We saw a lot of baitfish, mullet and menhaden. We saw some dolphins out there. I know some guys that saw some stingrays, so it seemed like the marine life seemed initially healthy.
Now, as for why the water conditions could be improving, our First Alert weather team has been following the salinity numbers. Eric Johnson joins us now with more on what those numbers mean for us.
Yeah, Hugh, there are a lot of things that really impact the salinity over the Sound. It's not just one thing. It could be one thing or a combination of things. Of course, the spillways opening, dumping the fresh water into Lake Pontchartrain, that has an impact. River flooding actually has more of an impact on the salinity levels than heavy rain falling over the Sound. It's more impactful whenever you have river flooding like the Pascagoula, Wolf River, and the Pearl River putting fresh water directly into the Sound. The water depth also has an impact on salinity and also the wind speed and direction. Now, over the past few days, we've had a northerly wind, and there is some question on whether or not that may have been helping increase our salinity levels. So when we take a look at some of those salinity trends, noticing at Point Cadet in Biloxi, the beginning of the month, we saw salinity levels below 5 parts per thousand. Where we should be is up here close to 18 to 22, but then once we get towards the June 9th and 10th, we start to see a little bit of an uptick, so an increase in salinity towards the June 9th, 10th, and 11th. So that's some good news. Same thing for the trend or the salinity trend for East Ship Island. Between the June 9th and 10th time frame, we started to see an increase in that salinity. Noticing, though, it does fluctuate a little bit throughout the couple of weeks. However, for areas further west, a little bit closer to Hancock County, the trend hasn't been as big of an improvement as we've seen for Biloxi and also for Ship Island. Noticing closer to the 11th, 12th, and 13th, we kind of see sort of a little bit of an increase in salinity. So that's a little bit closer to, well, the Pearl River and, of course, the Lake Pontchartrain where that fresh water is moving on in. Overall, something we're going to continue to watch, but at least today our weather has been great. Looking at the Live Neighborhood Network reporting stations, Perkinston at MGCCC had a low temperature of 60 degrees. Some of us will get close to that. We'll show you that forecast in just a little bit.
Eric, thank you. USM and the Gulf Coast Research Laboratory have opened a hotline for reports associated with the Bonnie Carey spillway and questions related to the spillway as well. You can report your concerns by calling the number on your screen.